What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F1 for My Team Career Mode Season 2, round number 10, the Dutch Grand Prix. We're here at Zandvoort for the first time in F1 to see what we can do here after a very disappointing Belgian Grand Prix last time out. Did not go well for us. We finished outside of the points because of that front wing damage when we spun up Eau Rouge, so hoping for a better result this weekend. Looking at R&D though, we're actually falling back a little bit. I mean, it's not quite as bad as you think because everybody is so ridiculously close, but we've now actually been overtaken by Ferrari as well, who have now jumped up to 4th, I believe. They're right there with McLaren in R&D. Aston Martin have now taken a bit more of a jump up into the lead once again of the R&D, but Mercedes always seem to be very good. Of course, last time out, McLaren were the team to beat. Lando Norris winning his first race in Formula 1. Oscar Piastri winning the sprint as well. So a very good race for McLaren last time out, but yeah, it looks like Ferrari might finally get up into the battle here because they haven't had a podium, they haven't had a win all season so far, and they were the constructors and drivers champions in season 1, so definitely they will be looking for a better performance. They've also, because I've done the most recent update, the special anniversary, not anniversary, the Italian kind of livery for Ferrari is also on the cars this weekend, and I'm not 100% sure how long that livery is staying on the cars for, but it'll probably be in the next couple of races for Ferrari. So yeah, they will be running that kind of red and yellow and black livery for a couple of races. Q1 went pretty well, only did one run, so we finished P11 in the end, but I did only do one quick run. Q2 here, and yep, once again up on time, feeling good on this track. Zandvoort's always one where, I don't know, in older games I always seem to struggle here. In F1 22 I think we only came here once, maybe twice in F1 22, and I was really quick here. And it feels pretty good this time as well on this game. Feels very good on the track. We crossed the line. We end up going, it's only P9 though. And Sonoda is out in P11. To be fair, we are the 5th quickest car now and everybody is so close. So kind of not really to be expected, but it's not the worst thing, I guess. Sonoda being out, both Alpines out. Perez in the Red Bull is also out in Q2. And now we go to Q3. So the grid is very close here. And it doesn't look like we're maybe going to be fighting for those top positions here today. We just don't quite have the speed compared to everyone else on this track. So this could be really interesting for the championship. You know, we are at the moment in the Drivers' Championship battle with Lewis Hamilton for the championship. We go purple through sector 1 though, so it's a pretty good first sector as we head through this very fast sector now into this right-hander. A little bit wide on the curb. We get caught on the curb and the car is going straight off into the gravel and into the wall. I just couldn't stop it. We got caught up on the curb and just couldn't get the car stopped. The curb dragged us into the gravel, couldn't get it stopped on the gravel and into the wall. Broken front left suspension, and that is us out of qualifying. We don't even set a lap time, so it's P10 for us on the grid for the race. It is a Ferrari 1-2 though. Charles Leclerc, pole position for him. Is this the resurgence for Ferrari? They've got that new livery on the car, the McDonald's livery, as I like to call it, especially with the overalls. But it's a 1-2 for Ferrari in qualifying. Let's see what we can do in the race from P10.
Welcome along then to the North Sea coast and to the Zandvoort circuit. We're 25 miles away from Amsterdam for today's Dutch Grand Prix. It's a race the great Jim Clark won on 4 occasions, leading for an astonishing total of 370 laps. 4 lefts and 10 rights make up the 14 corners of the narrow and demanding Zandvoort circuit, with plenty of peaks and valleys over the course of the 2.6-mile lap, which will demand absolute concentration from our drivers here today. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Russell, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Stroll, Davies, Sonoda, Perez, Albon, Gasly, Ocon, Bottas, Liam Lawson, Joe, Doohan, Sargent, De Vries, and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Natalie Pinkham. Thanks for joining us, Natalie. And tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, the surface looks clean enough, but I'm a little bit worried about the track temperature. It's pretty cool out there, which could give some teams difficulties when it comes to keeping their tyres in the right operating window. The cars out there that work their tyres hard and really put a lot of energy through them, well, they'll be the ones that are better off.
So after a crash in qualifying, can we make this race a good one? After a poor race in Belgium as well, with no points finish, it's lights out and away we go. We're on the soft compound tyres. A lot of the top 10, pretty much all the top 10 actually, other than us, on the medium compound tyres. We are getting a little bit sandwiched by Stroll, and I believe that is Perez on the inside there, as we just about managed to get past them both. It might have been Verstappen actually, everybody very close to each other. We're going to try and go the high line around turn 3. Is that turn 3? I think it's turn 3. We can't quite make that work there. I will say, in real life, the drivers always seem to take that high line around that corner. In the game, it doesn't really seem to work. You've kind of just got to take the normal kind of, you know, apex line. That high line doesn't really seem to work in the game. Maybe that's something they can change for the future. I don't know how they would, you know, make that work, but it doesn't seem to be the case in the game, as we are doing all right on this first lap. Not amazing considering we are on the soft tyres. Pretty much everybody around us is on the mediums, not making up quite as much room, quite as much spaces as I would have hoped. We're up to P8 though, made up 2 positions on this first lap, behind Piastri at the moment, the winner of the sprint race back in Belgium last time out. And we have actually kind of dropped the 2 Red Bulls behind. Of course, Max Verstappen, his home Grand Prix here. It looks like he is going for a move on Perez, because Perez managed to get past him, but looks like Perez has managed to just about defend that position. He's on the soft tyres with us, whereas Verstappen's on the mediums. Lap number 2, we're already looking at a move on Piastri. We just want to make a move as quick as we can. He locks up into the chicane, and we manage to get alongside him and go round the outside. Bit of a lock up from Piastri there, gifts us P7. So that is us making our way up the order, and now I believe it is Lewis Hamilton, our rival in the championship, ahead of us. The 2 Ferraris managed to keep it a 1-2 at the start of this race, but they're about to start fighting each other, as Carlos Sainz is going to try and get past his teammate round turn 1. Leclerc, though, defends for his life and keeps the lead of this race for now. Yuki Tsunoda, my teammate, down outside of the top 10 at the moment. He's now trying to get past Alexander Albon in the Williams. He's going to try and go round the outside. There's contact, though, between the 2 of them, and that is front wing end plate damage for Yuki Tsunoda. He's going to have to come in for a pit stop. This is not looking good for him. Yeah, it's been a bit of a poor last few races for Tsunoda. The battle at the front between the 2 Ferraris continues, and this time around, Sainz gets the lead of the race. Carlos Sainz now leads the Dutch Grand Prix from his teammate, so it's still a Ferrari 1-2, but they have now switched around. We are just kind of following this group. We have quite a big gap to Piastri and Perez behind. They've fallen back a little bit, fighting each other. But we are now on the back of this, what is the lead train, the top 7 drivers here, all within, you know, DRS of each other in a bit of a train, but we can't quite make the time up. Hamilton, the car ahead of us, like I said before, but yeah, we don't quite have the pace on these tyres at the moment to make a move on him, especially with DRS, as there's much 2x2 action behind us. The 2 Red Bulls still fighting each other here. Verstappen getting around the outside of his teammate Sergio Perez. That puts him up another position, but it is not the race that Verstappen would have wanted at his home Grand Prix. It's been a pretty dismal season for Red Bull and Verstappen this year. As once again at the front here, Leclerc now coming under fire from George Russell, who takes P2 in this race. He has split the 2 Ferraris, so now it's Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari. Russell up into second place, and he looks like he has some very good pace in this part of the race, and he has now gone for the lead, and he's taken the lead. But Carlos Sainz is trying to fight this one back, trying to stay on the outside, but he can't make it stick. George Russell takes the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix. Sainz, though, is going to come straight back at him with DRS into turn 1, as Leclerc is defending a little bit from Alonso behind, just trying to stay on the podium at the moment. So things all changing at the front here. Russell and Sainz side by side through this first sector, but Sainz has managed to get ahead, back ahead of Russell again, and retakes the lead of this race. Lap number 15, I believe, and we are now into the pits from our soft compound tyres. We're of course coming in a bit earlier than everybody else because those guys are ahead of us on the mediums. So we're going onto a set of medium compound tyres. It was between mediums and hards. For some reason the default strategy was to go onto hards. I think mediums is the way to go though. So yeah, we'll just have to see how this goes. We come out in a good bit of fresh air. We've got, I believe that is Lawson and Zhou ahead of us, but we won't catch them until the end of this lap. However, we do catch them rather badly here, and we're actually going to go for a move on Zhou into the second to last, or pretty much the final corner. I guess that's technically the second to last corner, isn't it? Onto the final corner banking. We're past Zhou. Lawson's coming into the pit, so that's good for us. Try and pick up a little bit of a tow. We've got the DRS from him, and now we've got plenty of fresh air. And on these medium compound tyres, we are actually going to get the undercut on Leclerc. So the driver who was in third place, we've managed to undercut in the pits here. He's onto the hard compound tyres though. I was wondering whether these guys would go medium to soft. It looks like they're all going medium to hard, which I'm not sure is really the right option, especially at the moment because I've now overtaken Sainz as well. We are effectively in the race lead now, and sure enough, a couple of laps later, everybody's come in. Leclerc though is fighting us back. He's managed to get an undercut on his teammate, so it's now myself leading this race from Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Leclerc though fighting with us all the way through this first sector into turn 3. We just about stay ahead at the moment, but these guys are really quick on these hard compound tyres. I just don't think we have the pace on this track here today. Also, of course, our tyres are a bit older and the mediums, but yeah, these tyres should still be good enough at the moment, but we're really having to defend from the Ferraris at the moment. Lando Norris manages to get past, I believe that's George Russell. So George Russell fallen back a little bit here. He's been overtaken by Alonso as well and is now outside of the podium. Norris now up into P5 as we are still just every lap defending from Leclerc. This time he's going to go to the inside. I wanted to try and see if I could maybe squeeze him into turn 1. We're going to try and stay on the outside, but we just don't have the grip. The Ferrari is rapid on this track here today, and we just don't quite have the pace. Leclerc now back up into the race lead. We're in second, now in a Ferrari sandwich, but Sainz is all over the back of us as well, so it's going to be difficult to defend from him, especially if we lose DRS from Leclerc. Oscar Piastri trying to make moves as well. He has just gotten past the Red Bull of Sergio Perez. He's up another position, not going amazing for Piastri compared to his teammate, but he's doing all right, I suppose. Now Sainz going for a move on us into this chicane towards the end of the lap, showing some really good pace, and we're actually getting a little bit of a train forming behind us. We're just now out of DRS from Leclerc, and that's going to help Sainz, who was looking at a move on us, but actually is now being attacked by Fernando Alonso, the two Spaniards going side by side through turn 1. Alonso just can't quite keep his car there. Sainz retains P3, and the next lap around or so, he will now have the run on us down into turn 1. On the inside goes Sainz, and he's past us before we even get to the corner. That it's now back to a Ferrari 1-2. Those guys just have way too much pace here, and I just think, you know what, I don't want to fight these guys too hard. My main battle here, and the main driver I need to be beating here, is Lewis Hamilton. He's behind this group. Alexander Albon out of the session. Esteban Ocon also out of the session. What's gone on there? Doesn't look like there's a safety car or anything. It's a bit unusual, you know, having two cars stopped on track. You would usually have a safety car or at least a VSC. Doesn't seem to be the case though. Yellow flags up ahead for Albon. It's Ocon retiring from the session, and then as Albon comes around the corner, smacks into Esteban Ocon, loses his front wing. Looks like that's enough for him to retire the car. So Albon parks up there, retires. Ocon parks up just a bit further around the corner. And that is both those guys out, but no safety car and no VSC. Lando Norris really showing that he's got some very good pace in that McLaren. He's now going for a move on Fernando Alonso for P4 in this race. It is a big battle here. The two Ferraris just ahead of me. Then you've got Norris, who's just gotten ahead of Alonso. And then the two Mercedes of Russell and Hamilton. Hamilton is the guy that we are really going to be racing here. Norris has gotten past Alonso at this point, but now Alonso is going to try and come back at the British driver into turn 1. Going to try and go round the outside. The two Mercedes are side by side as well. Great action going on here. Norris just about stays ahead. Russell, though, still defending from Lewis Hamilton and manages to stay ahead. If I was Mercedes, though, I'd be letting Hamilton get past Russell here, because they, you know, it could screw them over. Could screw Hamilton over if you know, he needs to get as many, well, if I'm going to beat Hamilton, he needs to, you know, lose as little points as possible. As now, though, we're getting overtaken by Norris. We're going to be side by side, though, as we head through this next corner up to the turn 3 banking. We're going to try stay on the outside here, but it just doesn't quite work. Norris now ahead of us and up into the podium position of P3. We are right behind him, though, and absolutely hounding him up the hill. Difficult section here, though, as we just stay behind him. It's one of my most difficult and probably my weakest part on the track. Late on the brakes, though, into this next corner, but I just don't think we have the pace to get past Norris, and he's going to take that P3 position. The two Ferraris have kind of streaked away a little bit in the lead, and now Sainz is going for a move on Leclerc to retake the lead of this race. Kind of got undercut in the pits, but Sainz now back in the lead of this race. Could be a battle between the two Ferraris for the win here, as now we're coming under threat from Fernando Alonso, who is now past us. Once again, I try not to fight it too much, because I know that my battle is with the Mercedes and with Hamilton. As long as I beat Hamilton here, I'm happy. And Hamilton is now 2 cars behind me, with Russell, the car directly behind me. Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso, though, are now going to battle up ahead. Alonso trying to get past Norris. This is the battle for the final place on the podium, and we're kind of still looking here, because if there's an opportunity, we will take it. This is where we're going to try that high line, and this time it actually works. Fernando Alonso gets a little bit caught up on the inside of that corner, and we make the round the outside of turn 3 move stick. We're now back up into P4 again. Final lap, though, we can't catch up to the guys ahead. Norris actually caught up to the Ferraris. He's right on the back of one of the Ferraris here. Leclerc managed to get back past Sainz to take the win. It is Ferrari's first win of the season. It's their first podium of the season, and it's a 1-2 as well. So that is awesome to see the resurgence of Ferrari. Of course, Leclerc winning the championship last season, his first win of this season, his first podium. We ended up P4 in the race.
So another excellent win from Ferrari. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, confidence breeds confidence. Success breeds success. They are very much enjoying a purple patch right now.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
So yes, it is a 1-2 for Ferrari. What a change of pace for them in this second half of the season. No podiums in the first half, no podiums up until this point, and now it's a 1-2. The defending world champion Charles Leclerc winning this race, winning his first race of the season. I don't think it's going to take a lot for him to defend and win the championship this year, but put some more performances in like that and he will be in for a shout. Good performance by Sainz as well. The two Ferrari drivers very close on pace this weekend. Lando Norris on the podium for the second race running. Of course, he won last time in Belgium. It's third place for him here today. We managed to just about take that fourth place from Fernando Alonso, so a good recovery from us from starting P10, and we beat Hamilton by a couple of positions, so that is always good for the championship. Tsunoda, not a great race from him. P13, not quite having the pace and having to come in for a front wing change early on. We extend our lead, I think, to about 16 points to Hamilton in second, so it's still very close, but we do thankfully gain on Hamilton after our poor weekend in Belgium, so it is definitely a positive for us, but it's still very close in that championship battle, and Russell actually starting to catch up at least to Hamilton as well. The Constructors' Championship, though, with Tsunoda not really putting in the performances at the moment, Mercedes do extend their lead, I think another 6 points to 66 points or so in the Constructors' Championship, but we're still definitely looking to, if Tsunoda can pick up his game, maybe fight for P2, for P1 in the Constructors, but P2 is definitely what we want to be at least getting at minimum. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.